Morning, everybody. I thought I'd shoot a little practical video on the use of this. And what I neglected to do yesterday is I want to bring you guys in close to those knurls before I start getting grease and stuff down in them. I want you to look at those knurls and how perfect they are. This is just a finely finished piece. So, yes, very, very nice. And what I've got equipped now is the UHMW and the Delrin heads. Let's see, the UHMW is the white, the Delrin is definitely the black. And we're going to check, a practical use for it. So you want to put something in your vise and indicate it and, maybe knock it around. And this would be a very practical use. So you've got a shaft, and you stick it in there on a V-block, and you don't quite trust your V-block. We're going to push this down straight, but let's get a nice side of that. This is just a piece of 1018, so it's not super precise, but we can use it for a demonstration. And you're going to tighten your vise down pretty much to a normal level. And let's say, for instance, you want to cut a key slot, in the overhang. I know we got way too much overhang here, but say you want to cut a key slot there, and you want it to be a nice equal depth. So you want to make sure this bar is in there very straight to the machine. How would you do that, and how would you knock it around and dial it in? So I've just got a mini base here with I'm using a nice big dial indicator so you guys can see a little better. But you just stick this guy at the bottom of the spindle, as so, and we bring it down. Oh, that's pretty good right there, methinks. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then bring the, let me get that straight. And then bring the spindle down just so we get a little bit of a reading. And then lock that, and then we're going to move back and forth till we find our high spot. Pretty close. So that's about our highest spot there. Dial that into 0 on a high spot. Alright, now we're going to compare that. We're going to move it out all the way out here and compare it again and see how we're doing. Oh, so we're pretty close, but let's say we wanted to move it. Let's say it wasn't really close. Let's go back. Yeah, you're within a couple thou right there. Let's say you go, and so you go back here and find your 0 again. Let's say we wanted to, tilt it down. Let's start with the softest material, or what we think is the softest material, which I think is going to be the UHMW. And we're going to check for cause and effect and action and reaction. And I'm just going to try to use equal bumps here with this hammer. And you guys are going to watch me deflower this thing right now. This is never hit anything ever. So we're just going to, we're actually just looking for a reaction there. And I'm just slowly increasing my size of my hits. So let's sweep it back and forth. And I brought it down about a thou. So let's re-zero there. Find our high spot. Okay. And let's run it out to the tip. And see what kind of reaction we get out of the UHMW. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely moved it. We moved it, a couple thousandths. It was about 1,000th off before. Now it's about 3 thou below. Well, let's check for cause and effect on we know what the UHMW does, and you actually gotta smack it pretty hard to get a reaction. So let's check it with the Delrin and see what it takes to get a reaction there. And that's the black face. So a lot less to get some movement out of it. See, I'm getting movement out of that now. Yep, see, now we got about 5 thousandths of movement out of that. So it takes a lot less hit to make it with the Delrin than it does the UHMW. So the UHMW is going to definitely be your softest material. UHMW is an acronym for ultra high molecular weight urethane. So this is pretty much like a skateboard wheel. You know, it's real squishy. Delrin is a lot firmer, and I think it's a little more of a solid material, and it would transfer the impact through the hammerhead. I sure don't want to hit it with my brass, but I think we need to do this test. So I'm going to take the brass tip off here, and I'm going to take the Delrin off. And actually, we're going to do it in stages. We're going to put, I think the next harder material would be aluminum, and then beyond that, the next harder material will be the brass. So let's do aluminum next and check for cause and effect. I'm going to re-level this again, or just put it back in its V block where it started out. That should be pretty close there. See where we ended up here. That's our high spot. Let's run back down to here. And again, yeah, you're within a thou. All right. So our next softest face, I'm going to say it's the aluminum. So let's check for cause and effect with aluminum. And I think I got some movement there. Go out, find the high spot, 1 thou over, run it down here. Check for the high spot, 1 thou under. So I was able to move it 1,000th over this span right here with the aluminum with a very, very light hit. Now when you're doing this kind of work, you know which direction you need to hit. So when you put your part in, you would always intentionally tip it up so that you've got room to swing on it with a hammer. If you need to come up with it, you just got no room to get under there to make the hit. And tight spots like that are kind of tricky. If you were doing a lot of this little fussy work, I think maybe the central portion of this head would need to shrink, but you'd want to do that without diminishing the weight of it. So I don't know what the answer would be for that, but a smaller head for little fussy work would be in order, so you could get in there and actually do your work. Anyways, let's I'm gonna release, do all the same thing again, and then we'll check it with the brass hammer tip. And I'm tightening the vise the same each time. Okay, we're coming up on 0, about 1 thou over. Yeah, you're about 1 thou over right there. 3 0 here. Okay. Yep, we're happy there. All right, run it out to the end again. Let's see where we're at with it. Yeah, and you're within 1,000th. That's the readings we were getting before. All right, let's go back in there, set it on 0, and we're gonna do the brass this time. And see what kind of hit it takes to get a reaction out of it. Okay, there's our peak right there, right on 0. Well, you guys are getting in my way. This tripod sure takes up a lot of room. All right, here we go. Action and reaction. There's the first basic rules of physics right there. Yeah, definitely got movement there. But that was the smallest hit yet. All right, so we've got just about a half thou below. And there it is. You got about 2 thousandths below. So, you know, before we were within 1,000th. The first setting was 0 and the next setting was -1. With that little tap, we were 0 and -2. Well, hey, here's another use I'm playing with on the MagChuck for Ray's hammer. And I got the magnet on right now. And sliding these guys around is a real pain in the butt. And getting them to move. And all I want to do is tap this down up against this fence. And I think I'm just going to use Delrin to make sure I'm down and seated. That's all I wanted a little hammer for, just knocking stuff around on the mag, because I need to grind these fences. And after the magnet, I got to get in the groove. Yep. After the magnet gets a hold of it, you just know doing it by hand. But you know, with the magnetic chuck is neat because you can move stuff and it'll pretty much stay wherever you put it. But we just want to make sure we're down tight to that fence, and we're going to be grinding. I'm going into that inner fence right there and grinding it parallel. I'm actually using a cup wheel. And I didn't give any credit to Phil. I know Phil's one of my subs. That's Ray's daughter's boyfriend. But Phil, thank you for all your efforts on this. And I got to think of something nice to do for you guys. All right, enough babbling. I got to get to grinding. Somebody stop me. I can't stop using this thing. What I'm doing now is I'm setting some squares into a grinding fixture. And they just hook on the edge. The inner is ground, the outer 2 sides are not. So I need to get these set. And it's really important that you get the fence set in tight to the block before you grind it. Otherwise, you've got 2 square sides, but then it's not parallel with the inner fence. So we're just going to give it a light snug for now. And we're going to bop down. And see, this is where I want that inner fence to be laying right against this block. And I need to make sure of that. Even just tightening the screws can have an influence on that little edge right there. So we got some good hit there without worrying about hurting the square. And here we'll get the other side in. And we just check right back there for any debris, dirt, whatever. Wipe them down with a lint free and get them on their edge there. I'm giving away all my trade secrets now. You know, for any of you guys that want to make your own squares, they're not that hard after you get the tooling. The tooling, you know, it's been months of me working on the different tooling to get these things, to make these things go a little quicker. There's nothing fast about them, but final snuggie. Wow, it's must be Amy Lee Day on Pandora. The guy from Seether called her, what, a spoiled goth chick. I think we're good. The final cinch. Here and here. Now we go over to the grinder and plop this down on the mag, grind. Then we just take the whole thing and go flip, and then we go grind. And without taking it out of the fixture, we know we've got 90. So there's all my secrets. That's how we grind them in pairs and match them on the outside at least, okay? But there's a very practical use for that hammer. Off to the grinder I go. And here's another use for the quintessential shop hammer. Again, Le Hammer, courtesy of Phil and Ray. And what I always have a hard time moving this big old hunk of stone around and getting it right where I want it on the Squaremaster. So, and every time I set it up, I go ahead and give it a quick recal. And what I'm looking for here is just 0. But the UHMW is my best bet. And just little taps. And see, now I'm tapping 1/10 of a thousandth right there. Yeah, buddy. Alright, so we're going to sweep up and see how far off this thing is after redoing it. See, boom, you're 1.5 thou off. So I'm going to go to my back leg and give it a little tweak on one of the feet. Take that to 0. Now we're going to sweep down. Now I'm down in the radius. Down at the bottom there's a little radius down there, so let's get out of there. Alright, call that a good 0. And sweep up again. Nice and slow. And we are calibrated. But the UHMW makes real nice for bopping around the... Just watch that gauge. So I can do 1/10 of a thou just with little taps. So that's kind of what I wanted it for. I've been using Herb's hammer, but honestly that wood, that Osage wood, it hits pretty darn hard. And this has got just enough of a spring that, yeah, just gives you nice little taps. So yeah, just little bits on the gauge. That's awesome for putting something in the toolmaker's vise and knocking it around a little bit or squaring it up or whatever. But I would be interested. Hammers are a very, very personal thing. You ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers. But I would be interested in a smaller version of this, a little bit lighter down here. Maybe taper this really hard to remove some of this material to get some of the weight out of it. And then the center portion of the head, shrink it up a little bit. Let's see where we're at here. Looks like you're about 2.3 across here. So I'm thinking maybe 2 inch, or even smaller than that. Maybe there's one 1/750 there. So your center section, if that was about 1/750 or even 1/500. See what that would look like. That'd be 1.5 inches with the same size faces. And you want the mass in the head of the hammer to, you know, for the hit. But for the smaller version, I think squeak this down just a little bit, because there's times you want to get in here and make little taps, and the size of the head is kind of your limiting factor when you're doing little fussy stuff. So the next size down hammer, I think shrink here, maybe spindle it a little bit more here, remove some material here to kind of lighten the handle, and you know, give some thought to this section. Could be a piece of stainless tubing, hollow, that where this would get knurled and then threaded onto this piece and Loctite it in, or you know, put a bottoming collar on it so it can tighten down. Leave it hollow and store all your things inside with an end cap, kind of like a flashlight with a spring on it that just holds a little bit of tension on all of them. Because you could get, in this hammer, you could get three hammer heads in there, I think, with no trouble. You know, you can get all three of those guys in there with no worries at all. And you still got room for a spring and some cap action there. So just my thoughts. And like I say, hammers are a very personal thing, and everyone's got different opinions of them. But Ray, gosh, love the hammer. And Phil, thank you too. I didn't give you credit in mail call, but I'm going to need to do something nice for you two up there. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Okay, so I've just been shooting video off and on all day. I did a little bit of mill work, and well, I didn't even do mill work. That was just an example of how you could use it in the mill. And then most of my work today has been on the surface grinder, mag chuck, and bopping stuff around on the mag, doing a little bit of surface plate and moving stuff around in there. Toolmaker's vise, moving parts around in the toolmaker's vise. And you can see the wear I've gotten. And I've got them arranged here from softest to hardest. And my two go-tos today were the UHMW and the Delrin, but you can see the scars I've already gotten. So we're battle worn. I'm using it, and so far all my work today has just been these. I haven't even had to break out the aluminum, let alone the big dogs. My big dogs haven't been deflowered yet, but really enjoying my hammer. I literally have been using it all day, Ray, and I just thought I'd shoot a little video off and on. And still, I can't thank you enough. We need to come up with a clever name for that. You know who's good at that is Colin. Colin makes up good names for stuff. All right, guys, that's the end of my day. I'm done getting hammered. All right, fellas, have a good weekend.